Hello. Oh, your hair looks cute, Haley. Hello, everybody.
I blow dried it.
It looks nice. I like it.
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
it's me and Haley. Pam is on the phone. She's trying to come on camera, but she's driving. So we'll be looking at her, but she won't be looking at us if she can get the camera to work. And that's all that's here today. So if people join, I'll add everybody. So I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about? Today is the Ask Nikki. So ask me something. No, I'm kidding. I did come up with a topic that I wanted to discuss last time. But that kind of turned into a little bit of a gallery. So we didn't cover what we were going to cover. But what I wanted to cover was, how does everybody measure success in their life? Because I personally feel like I'm always like running to catch up. And I always don't think I have been successful. And so I sat back and I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, I'm always trying to reach something, but there's not really a destination. It's not like I say, oh, if I can do this, I will feel successful. I never really feel successful. So I know that other people that, oops, sorry, that's my thumb. But I know other people that also have expressed to me the same thing. And then I have other friends that do feel successful in their lives. And so I thought it would be kind of a good idea if we shared with each other, how do we measure success? Because I haven't found anything, in my opinion, listening to my own spirit is the only place that I find a level of success. But then I think, well, I'm being obedient. So if I listen to my spirit, I'm being obedient. And so can I really say that that's how I measure success? Because I don't have a thing that I'm trying to attain. And I feel like when we measure success, there's a thing and we obtained it and we did it, and now we can call ourselves successful. But I don't ever feel that way. And I don't know if other people struggle with that, but I think I'll just turn it over to you guys and think, what do you think about success, or how do you measure it in your own lives?
I guess I can go. I didn't realize I didn't mute myself.
Yeah,
so
you can go. She's not coming through.
I think that's.
Oh, can you forward it to her?
I did.
So. Okay. Sorry, go ahead. I was just trying to see if Jackie was joining in.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a hard thing to measure because I don't know, like as humans, as just people living here, it's hard to not be in a comparison like state, right? Like I compare myself to my brother and my sister, or, so for me, I never, I guess, think of it in terms of success. I think of it in terms of my feelings. So do I feel balanced? Do I feel in a space that's regulated? Because that's where I feel like unsuccessful. Like if I have a day that is, I am just crabby and like snapping at people, I don't feel successful with that. But if I feel a day of, and obviously there's judgment in that, and I recognize I'm judging my fluctuation of emotion. But like to me, I didn't go back to school until I was in my 30s. For my master's, and I started, working later on life. So like for a majority of my 20s and 30s, I felt very unsuccessful having a brother and sister who both had their masters by 26, 27, and have full-time jobs, taking care of themselves. So I think what I've learned through all this is that success is so subjective. It could feel different each and every day, but I think overall, if I'm looking at the scheme of things, success, I feel successful. Like I feel like I'm doing things. Are there fleeting moments that I feel like, a piece of flaming garbage? Like 100%, like, but I think it's such a hard word to define, because maybe I feel very successful being able to emotionally regulate myself. But maybe when I think in terms of not having debt, like I don't feel super successful with that, So I feel like it's always teetering depending on what I'm focusing on. Do I feel successful in my career? Yes. Do I feel successful in family? Yes. But there are areas that I'm like, that could be improvement. So to me, it's not unsuccessful. It's just a work in progress towards a more successful state, I guess, if that all kind of makes sense.
It does, but it kind of feels like the way I feel, like I don't have a destination for success. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like I'm going to reach something and say, okay, I made it. Like I never feel like I made it. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to make.
There's always
Like,
something changing, I think. When I reach that point,
right.
now
So,
there's something else.
right. And so there's like, but I do know people and connect with people that feel very successful within themselves. And they exuberate that and they speak about it, and it's obvious. And I don't know where they're drawing from. Like, I can't find that place where I feel like, oh, I made it.
So
Where my brain kind of goes with that is because to me, success, at least in our societal norms, is financial. I don't know. It's just most people consider themselves very successful.
Well, that's why
are,
I never feel successful.
but you know what I'm saying? It's like
I do.
money. It's a tangible thing, right? Versus how do I feel successful in a relationship? How do I feel successful in my job? How do I quantify these things? Whereas money is tangible. I understand if I have X amount of dollars, I feel, but I also know people who are miserable who have a ton of money. So I don't know if it's a more spiritual component. Like success doesn't do it for me. I'm just like, I would rather have other things in place of the idea, because it's subjective to me, right? And it's subjective to you. To somebody else, I could be the most successful human being. And to somebody else, I could be like, somebody be like, oh God, I would never want your life. That sounds absolutely garbage. And that's fine. It's just their perspective. It's their vantage point. And I think it's so hard. And I feel the same way as you, is I don't have a space that says, if I get 30 clients a week and this is a consistent thing, like I'm not like, yes, you're successful. I was like, to be honest, I'm like, gosh, I really like it when it's like 20. So then like I have more time off. Like to me,
is it success being just content? Contentment.
Yeah. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
If I feel content.
Because
yeah,
I was most successful in my life when I had nothing. I was happy. I was extremely free of stress. And it was just me and the kids. But I was so content. And I felt successful. I succeeded in everything else that was put forth. You know what I'm saying? So it was, like you said, a stepping block, just progression from there. It was contentment, and then success followed in many of the things I did. So it started with, to me, it's contentment.
so when you talk about it's contentment that initiates this or is connected to this feeling of success, where does the contentment come from? Is it because you're handling life? Is it because, I mean, because I feel content, but like when you talk about it, what do you mean? What do you mean by I felt content? Because you were alone, you didn't have zip, obviously you got to work, you're taking care of kids, you're a single mom, like,
I was happy.
but you're content.
I was content.
Right.
It's so much more stressful to have so much more. I was content with just me and the kids and having a menial job, taking care of dogs. I worked in a vet. I was so happy. And making sure the kids were okay and things were going along great. My house is small. I could take care of it. It was manageable. I had, it was just, I was so content, so happy.
So do you think contentment comes from
for me,
like acceptance?
Yes.
Like, this is what I have, and I love what I have. Like, I accept this. I have a smaller house, but I could manage it. I had a menial job, but I worked with the dogs and it made me so happy. Like
it was everything that I loved. You got it. I'm sorry, they're all gonna howl. They're all
oh, that's okay. That's fine.
Diesel.
I don't mind any of them.
Jeez.
Go ahead, show. Haley has a new puppy.
Oh, sorry, he's like getting into everything.
I love him.
Let's see.
Mhm.
To me, it starts with contentment.
Yeah.
Oh, the baby! Look.
Look at, he's a whippet.
Oh, how old?
He's almost 9 weeks. Good boy.
Good boy.
Oh, will you
We just got him on
send them the link?
Sunday.
Oh,
I guess the link was broken and people were trying to get on and they couldn't get on. So Marissa's going to try to send some people the link, but we can keep going.
The friendly reminder that was sent yesterday, that link worked. When I clicked on the one that was sent like, I don't know, an hour or so ago, that didn't. So I just went to the, it worked.
Oh, okay. They have to use their original email. Oh, well. Oops.
to me, it's
So
just
the original, the reminder
being
didn't work, Haley said, but the original email did work. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well. Okay. So go ahead, Trisha. Sorry.
no. It's just to me, it started with being content within myself, with my surroundings, my whatever I had at that point, and then from there, things just got so much better, which made me feel more successful.
Thank
So,
you.
Does that make
Thank
sense?
you. Pam, do you have, it totally makes sense. It's wonderful. I
So
agree
for
with that
me,
because, Mhm.
sorry,
ahead,
go ahead,
Pam.
Nick. So for me, success is about setting out a goal and achieving what the goal is. However, I may go ahead and also feel successful when I've achieved something that I did not go ahead and think I was going to get done. So I may feel like, oh my God, I'm so happy I achieved that because I don't know, cleaned out a cabinet or something. And I can feel really good about it. But like if I look at when I think success, I think, okay, I set a goal. What was my goal? My goal was to make director. When I made director, I felt like I achieved what I had set out to do, and I felt that I had been successful in that. So I think it's kind of hand in hand with the achieving it and then feeling the success, if that makes sense. Are you guys there?
Yes, I'm processing what you're saying because that's what I was referring to is that I don't have a destination for success. I don't like I don't try to achieve. I don't measure. I don't know how to say this. Like
No, so
what I
like
said
your
at the
bathroom.
beginning, like that my measurement of success is I don't have anything to measure. So I don't set anything kind of before myself to measure myself as being successful or not. I listen to my spirit. That is what makes me feel successful. But then, you know, the other side of me says, well, like this is me being obedient and listening to my inner voice. That's what is successful. But when, let's say my inner voice guides me to do something and it works out and everybody likes it, I don't feel successful from that. Like, you see, so I don't have a place to achieve success.
But
And
is
when
success,
Haley was talking about it,
but is success for you tied to the human things where you are driven by spirit, right?
right?
So in me, I'm driven, human things are things I'm trying to achieve, I'm trying to be successful at, right? And that's where I feel like if I set out, it's very different. If I set out to clean my bathroom, I feel like I've achieved something at the end of it. You say, oh, I'm going to clean a drawer in the bathroom. I don't know if I'll get to the whole bathroom, right?
Right.
But you keep going, and a lot of times you finish the entire bathroom after 5 hours. But you're saying you don't even feel successful or feel like you've achieved that?
Why I don't set it out before myself as a goal of measurement.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. Where Haley was saying that measuring success is subjective. Could you repeat what you said, Haley?
I'll sure try. So like, to me, it's a subjective thing because success to everyone is going to be different, you know, but I think that's the hard piece is like, like I said, like we live in a world of comparison. So it's automatically determining if I'm successful or not. You know, it's black, white, it's right, wrong, you know, like but I think for success in terms of yourself is, I was saying it was more feeling based to me, you know.
And
I don't know if anyone ever read the book. I think it was called The Seven Spiritual like Laws of Success. You know, so coming from more of a spiritual perspective, it was about like giving. How do we give? Because you can be successful in, right, like giving. How do we feel successful in like karma, right? The cause and effect. How do I, in a quantum entanglement, impact other people? I'm forgetting all the other ones. The need for desire. Like I can feel successful. I think, like what was being said, like I felt very content that I didn't need all this stuff. So that contentment of not needing outside of yourself, needing, like that was part of the like spiritual laws, like
that's what Trisha was talking about too, and
that's what I'm
referencing
saying.
that her success came from that contentment.
And I think that is like a spiritual kind of aspect, because I think I want to say the first one was like the law of like potentiality. So like, how do I see the potential of me, right? But then we get into how much has that been skewed from the world of what I've seen, what I've heard, what I know about myself through other people, right? So I think in order to really gain an understanding of success, it's how do I know myself on many different facets, right? So I can see what my potential is, and it's not the potential that's been set for me. You know, if you were called lazy as a kid, well, that's my MO now. I'm the lazy kid that doesn't really have to work, right? So how do I figure out my potential? You know, so maybe to somebody going and, you know, working somewhere, that would be their idea of success, right? Versus going to school would be, and somebody would be like, going to school is a waste of money. Like there's just, I think it's so fluctuating based upon who you're talking to. But then there's both ends. There's a spiritual, and then I guess I would rather do it like this. There's a spiritual and the human. And the human, I think, is rooted more in the stuff, the education, the money, the house, the white picket fence, the, you know what I'm saying, the appearance, the illusion of success, right?
Okay.
Versus spirituality. Okay. Think about your potential, your giving, your desire, your karma, your, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do I be successful in those areas?
So I think, so that is a good definition, because then we have two different, and we are both human and spirit. So we do have that dual measurement of success. So I think, Pam, you're referencing the human aspect of what you want to achieve when you're here on earth. Like, what do you want to do while you're here? Hello?
Right. So I can feel successful if I've washed my motorcycle. It was something I wanted to do, and if I did it, I can feel successful. Hey, I achieved that. Cool.
Okay. Hi, Amanda. Is Britt with you? Hi, Britt. You guys, we are talking about how we measure success in our lives. And so that's everybody just kind of giving their idea of how they measure success. So if you would like to input how do you guys measure success and what does that mean for you? But Pam is talking right now, so sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to say hi to them.
Oh, no, no worries. No, that was really it. To me, you know, it's not just about having a career or it's having a house. Did I feel successful with those things? Absolutely. I set out a goal. I achieved the goal. And I think that's what it comes down to. is when I have achieved a goal I set out for myself, whether it's my career, my house, or washing my motorcycle, or cleaning my bathroom. If I've achieved it, I feel successful in what I've done. But you're right, that is from a human perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also though feel well, yeah.
I have a thought.
Okay.
So I totally get what you're saying, Pam, and I think that's definitely a way to approach it, is that the success you allow yourself to believe you have succeeded when you meet the end goal, the human end goal. Correct?
Exactly, Brett. Whatever it is.
Right. And what happens if you don't hit that end goal? How do you feel? Or like, because I guess what I'm trying to say here is, are you finding along the way that you are allowing yourself to feel successful in small days, in small ways throughout the process? Or are you waiting until the end deliverable to determine whether or not you have succeeded?
Ultimately, it comes down to whatever the completed thing is, I feel successful. If I'm in the midst of doing it, I don't feel, I feel as if I'm working towards my goal, which my goal, once achieved, I will feel successful.
Mm.
Okay, so Britt, is that similar to what you do with your career? Like when I am this age, I want to make this amount of money. I want to be in this position. And then when you reach that, you're like, I made it. Like I am successful. Did you along in that journey, did each point feel as successful as when you actually reached the goal you set out for yourself? Because you set out a pretty high measurement for yourself and you achieved it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's the end success. But
Mm-hmm.
were you in each one of those jobs that led you toward that career? Did you really allow yourself the success in each one of those milestones where you reached the end goal or that particular achievement? And Pam, I think the same question for you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like I had an idea of like, oh, and it's funny that you're asking me because my end goal is what Pam is, right? So my end was, because Pam was a fancy business lady who traveled all over and she was rich. And I thought, okay, if I make X amount of money, if I make $100,000, I will be rich. And if I am a director, I will have made it, because Pam was like the career epitome, right? And I hit those things. But when I hit them, I had already worked so hard and found so many like successes along the way that by the time I hit the $100,000 director, I was like, oh, cool. Okay. I didn't feel like I was done. I felt like I could keep going because I wasn't measuring myself by the X amount of money and the goal. I, first of all, did not think I was going to soon. I thought I was going to hit it in like 10 or 15 years. I didn't think I would hit it this soon. And then the other thing is that like, that wasn't what I didn't go to bed thinking I'm one step closer to becoming a director. I just thought I handled that client call really fucking well today. I earned my paycheck. So my successes as they came in the little wins of every day. And so I got to experience success whenever I wanted, instead of holding off on feeling successful until I hit my dollar amount and my title amount, which in today is not the same as it was in Pam's money at that time. So I'm not rich at all. So
okay.
Yes, you are, honey.
Okay, so what about you, Pam? Because everything Brittany just said literally is exactly what Haley said.
Oh, cool. And I joined like 10 minutes late. So I'm glad I'm like right up.
Yeah, okay. And okay, go ahead, Pam.
I think we're saying ultimately something very similar, but what I view it as two things. One, I think I take success of, I set out a goal. What did I do? I achieve the goal, and if I achieved the goal, I was successful then in achieving the goal. Now, if I look at my career, I did not feel, I set out the goal to hit director. Okay. I did not, I felt accomplishment. I felt all kinds of good things as I was moving up the ladder, but I didn't feel that I had achieved what I had set out my goal to be. So I guess the question really comes down to is, how do you define success versus a goal versus achieving something? Because
Yeah,
achieving
that's the
something,
topic of
right?
our whole conversation.
Right.
No, that's literally the topic of the entire thing,
Right,
is
but-
how do you measure success in your life? And so your way of measuring success, now that we're flushing it out, and Brittany's way and my way and Haley's way and Trisha's way of doing that, makes us all question ourselves about how we measure ourselves. Jackie, I know. Hi, Jackie. Jackie
Hi.
had something to say. So welcome. We can't see you, but hello.
That's because I was doing yard work and I'm doing you a favor. No one gets to see this, but I was going to say that mine's almost backwards. And I feel like I took a crash course in how to find success when you're not achieving anything, because I used to think, okay, when I'm 30, if I have this, this, and this, then that's a success. When I'm 35, once I was 40. And I think around 40 is when I realized, okay, I'm not achieving these goals. And then I'm setting myself up to feel bad. So for physical reasons and having a disability, I got a crash course in learning, how do I feel successful when I feel like I don't actually achieve anything. And for me, that kind of stripped it down. So now success has become, and I don't know if this is like I just have lowered my standards enough so that I can be happy and measure up, or if it's higher of a standard. But to me, success is if I can go to sleep at night and I don't think my higher power is disappointed in me. Like if I've got a clean conscience, have I reconciled everything I've done that day? Is there anything I've done wrong? Like that kind of thing. And it's kind of like, it's all I have left, because a lot of the achievements are like having babies, having careers, and for personal reasons, I can't do a lot of those things. So that's I feel like it was one thing and then it changed, and it was almost like it was a reverse course. And okay, how do you feel successful if you aren't doing shit and still feel good about it?
That's okay. Hold on a minute, because I have to go on.
Okay, no, seriously, Jackie, that's my life.
I knew you were going to say something.
Describe my life.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's me, because I know with everything going on, I literally just had this talk with mom like the other night, and I was like, I feel like I'm so behind everybody in life. And so I totally get that. What I'm starting to do now when it comes to like trying to feel successful is what can I do today? If I can walk up the stairs, I'm like, you know what? I hit it today. Like, that's it. That's my success for the day. Or like right now I'm about to start school next week. And so I told mom, like, I'm trying to hit certain goals before I get surgery next week. So then that way, like, hey, if I get 2 modules done, then I'm successful for like the week that I need to recover. So I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And
That's a good
also,
way to
who
survive.
said that your success has to look like other people's success, right? Who said that going to bed thinking my angels are proud of me and I did nothing but sit on the couch? Who said that's not successful? For you, that's success. And that means as much as a director means to me, as a certain amount of money or a house means to Pam, as Marissa walking up 5 stairs means to her. Everybody's success is different. And if you compare your success to other people's success, you're robbing yourself of your own joy. So you ask yourself, what does success mean to me? Well, if I just go to bed and I go to sleep and I think God is proud of what I did today, then that's good. I heard you did some yard work. Are you done? Is that success? You have succeeded today. You deserve to feel the joy of it, right?
Even if my mom's outside finishing it right now.
Yeah, because you did probably when you got up this morning and you thought, here are all the things that are dragging me down today, and my disability and my everything I'm going through and everything I've been through in my life. You probably thought, okay, if I can fill up one bag, I will have succeeded of weeds. How many bags did you fill up? Maybe 3. You didn't finish the whole yard, but you didn't set out to finish the whole yard. You set out to do something, and you did something, so you succeeded.
Yes. I like the way you think, Britt.
You know, to kind of add into that, what came to my mind is like, what I realized through all this is not being tied to the outcome of anything.
Yes.
And because it reminds me, I had a client this week or last week, and she was telling me, she's like, I can't believe I'm turning 20. I feel like such a disappointment. By 23, I said I was going to be married. And I said by 26, I would be having kids. And I'm about to turn 20 and I'm not dating anybody. And like, it took me aback. I was like, wait, where did this even come from? Like, turning 20 is old. I was like, oh God, like, you know, we got a whole big problem now. I'm like, you know, but I realized I'm not tied to the outcome. Like when I looked, my goal was to get my master's. Okay, I got it. But then it just shifted to, well, I want my own private practice. Then it shifted into, okay, I want my doctorate. Okay, I want that. And it just became different things I started focusing on. So whatever my mind focuses on, my energy goes to. So it's not tied to the outcome. If I got my master's, okay, well, if that didn't work out, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to figure out and let the universe kind of show me. And I think that was what you were saying, Nikki, is let spirit kind of guide you in that. But maybe that's what we're saying, is not being tied to how it does
The end result.
Yeah, I'm never tied to the end result. And that's why I feel like I never get upset, because usually my version, my human version that thinks how I want should be, it turns out so much better when I let spirit take over and just be like, well, you show me. Because my version is a very small compared to what spirit can offer me.
So we've already identified different levels of measuring success in our life. One is based on the set out goal, and achieving that goal creates a level of success for the self. Another one is, if I attain what this other person attained, then I am successful. Another way is to find acceptance with what you have, because acceptance of what you have really brings contentment within your life. And then that contentment inspires your success, your measurement of success. Or you can say, okay, I know that I have to clean my whole house. I know that's what I'm going to do, but I'm never going to tell you I'm going to clean my whole house. I'm going to clean the hall closet, and that's it. That's it. And then when I'm at the hall closet, I might have another idea to clean something else, and then I'll go do that. And so I never have an opportunity to measure a success that I can grasp onto, because I'm just doing the next thing. And then, oh shit, it turned out great, but it wasn't me. I was just being obedient to myself, right? So it was never my intention to begin with. So that's where I run into that difficulty of how do I measure. And then Jackie and Marissa measure it in a way that says, if I can have the peace within myself, like, did I go to bed as a good person? And my higher spirits and my guides, are they proud of me? Did I live up to that part, that spiritual connection to the other side? And Marissa says, if I can get up 5 stairs, hey, I hit it today. So we've already identified, just with who's here today, all the different ways that we measure ourselves. And a lot of that could be very unfair to ourselves if we are tied to that end result. If we set ourselves up for, if we don't get this, then we have failed. Because if you're feeling successful, then the flip side of that is, if you don't achieve that, now you are a failure. And that starts to breed on our own relationship that we have with ourselves. So hi to Linda, who stepped off the camera, but I know she's there. And Amanda, did you guys have anything? Would you like to say anything about measuring success in your life?
Yeah, actually, this is something that Britt and I talked a lot about, especially during the height of the pandemic and me being a nanny. And I was like, I can't believe I've been doing this for almost, it ended up doing it for almost 6 years, and that was not my intention. And society tells me that that's not being successful because I have a bachelor's degree and I'm a nanny. And I started feeling like a glorified babysitter. And then Britt would like reframe it and be like, talk about all of the tools and soft skills and things that I was gaining along the way. And then eventually it led me to another path where I feel like that built the foundation for what I'm going to be doing now in a master's program for occupational therapy. And now I feel like, oh, I understand what that almost 6 years was for. And it's like in the moment, it felt like it was for nothing in a lot of ways. But reflecting back on it, I wish I could have seen that there is reason behind it and that it was leading me to another place.
And that's really interesting you say that too, because I remember when, that was one of my big advices to Britt, like she would get in a job and she'd be like, okay, they asked me to clean the microwave. Like, that's not my job. And like, I hate this job and that's not my job and I'm not cleaning the microwave. And I'm like, honey, there is a reason that you're there. You have to pick up like some skill, and that's why you're there. So if they ask you to clean the microwave, like clean the microwave, like it's no big deal because you need to be there. When you don't need to be there anymore, you won't. And it's interesting because I used to try, and that is one of the things, like you're here right now for a reason. Why are you here right now? For what reason? And if you can gather why you're there, you learn the lesson a lot faster, and nothing is a waste in your life. Right. Because every single thing happens for you, not against you. We spoke about that before. If everything is happening for you, then if you can find what the nugget of good in there is, then nothing you're doing is a waste of your time. And then you're never a failure. And then you never really measure yourself. And that creates contentment. Thank you, Trisha. That does create contentment, because you don't hold yourself like, I'm like, well, I don't know, my spirit told me to do it. We'll see how it turns out. Maybe it's me like passing the buck to my spirit. But a lot of times I'll do that. I'll be like, I don't know, my spirit told me to do it, so I did it. So we'll see if it's successful. Like, we'll see. And then it is. And I'm like, see, she was right. It's not, I don't even take the success. So that's great. And thank you for that, Amanda, because that is something that we forget when we're on our path to becoming who we are. We forget to see that. So that's great.
Right. I feel like ever since that too, we have so many moments where we're like, well, why is this happening? This is happening so that we can learn something for our future. It kind of feels like a foreshadowing moment where you're like, I don't understand it now, but I will understand it later. So yeah.
It just came to me, this idea that like how I guess I can like more accurately define it after just kind of listening is, for me, I feel successful when I'm listening to myself and I'm in line with myself. So spirit, human, like my thoughts, my emotions, but also I'm honest, I communicate, and there's a lack of judgment and acceptance. That's when I feel successful, because there's not judgment if I don't clean the house that day. There's not judgment that I didn't reach a goal that I had. Because kind of like Amanda and Britt were saying, like, we don't see that bigger picture sometimes. So maybe working in that job, you don't see why you're there until like when you need to. So why have judgment? And if every moment of every day, I am the best that I can. And even if that best sucks, it technically speaking, like it's not my best output, it's the best I can do in the moment. Why would I ever not feel successful if I was giving of all I had in that moment. Why would I ever not feel successful?
So Jackie and Marissa cracked the code.
Yeah.
So they cracked the code. That's what
Yeah,
it is. That's what they're
is.
saying. I'm just doing my best right now at this moment, and that is success.
Yeah.
Very well put. That's great. Anybody have any comments on that? I love that. I love that.
I thought when you were talking about that, I have found that some of my most successful moments come out of my biggest failures. So I might have failed and not succeeded. So what's coming to mind is I had like a really terrible client call on a meeting in May, and it was awful. And I got raked over the coals by the client, and I just handled it really poorly. And I failed. I did not succeed. And I had a similar call today, and I succeeded. And I am so proud of myself for my failure. And I feel like my failure was a success because I showed up, I did the best I could at that moment. And had I not succeeded at failing, I wouldn't have succeeded at winning later, right? So like it was because I failed that I succeeded later. It was because I messed up my client call in the spring that I was able to win the client call I had today. So it's like,
so everything is done for you, not against you. So even in the bad experience and situation, there was something in it for you. You found out what was in it for you, and what you found was applicable today, which made things run smoothly.
Right. And during that failed call, I thought, well, I'm never going to be a director now. And then after today's call, I thought, that's why I'm a director, because I succeeded, right? Because I failed. I don't know if that makes any sense.
That absolutely makes sense. I think that that's kind of how I got to where I am. Like because I felt like I failed so many times that like, okay, you have to do something with this. And if that failure is this obstacle that's going to stand in the way of my goal, that obstacle could exist again and again and again. So eventually I thought, okay, this is like the 9th time this has happened. Maybe I should just change the way I look at this or look at it differently. And that's I feel like, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I feel like that's similar to what you're saying, Britt.
I think so.
Don't you think it's all about like the meaning we've placed upon it? Because I really think if we were to boil down anyone's life, it's just the meaning, right? Like if somebody said to you and I, and they're like, wow, you guys are really both like hideous creatures of human beings, right? Like maybe you're just like, you take it and you're like, okay, well, that's kind of a reflection of them. And then maybe I take it and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a gremlin, right? And I like sit with this because the meaning of looks could mean something totally different for me versus you, right? So it's just the meaning that we've placed. And I think it can go across the board in any topic that you talk about, the meaning that anyone has placed on anything that triggers something within you. So like Britt's saying, that felt like a failure in that moment, right? But later on, there was a different perspective because we had hindsight of the situation and then being able to. So the meaning was different in that situation. She kicked ass in that situation and was able to change it around, right? And it was a totally different experience. But it's just how we're holding the meaning of what success is in that particular moment of time.
Yeah, and my goal in that moment, I said, I'm pretty sure I texted Mom or Marissa. I said, if I don't cry on this call, I will have succeeded. That was my bare minimum. It's like, what is success? Not crying on this client call. And I did it, but I failed overall. But like, you got to start small, right? That's the only way you can build up.
Like in Tommy Boy, they said, if you don't succeed, lower your standards.
Or right size your standards and evaluate whose standards are you living by. Are they really yours or are they somebody else's?
Totally.
Very good. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for today? or have any topics they wanted to visit today other than the topic of success. Or we can keep talking about success.
That was just interesting.
It's a different perspective. You know, we looked at it 3 different ways. We looked at it a lot of ways, but when we boil it down, something that Haley was saying is it's the value that you put on it. And like when you're a participant in something at the moment, like Brittany was a participant in the failed call. So at the moment that she's a participant, it's a fail. But when she becomes an observer to that situation several months later, now she's an observer to that past failure and not a participant. It no longer looks or feels like a failure. But when she's in it, participating in it, she does. And that's where those measurements come from, is that we are participating at that moment when we're judging ourselves. Right? If I'm right. Oh. Pam, did you get kicked off? Oh, you're in 2 places.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what the hell happened. I finally got home.
Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay. So, well, nice to see you. Okay. Any other comments about success? No? Okay. Does anybody have any questions or things or topics that they want to bounce around or talk about or have me answer?
I'm sorry
Nobody?
I had something, but I was kind of just like looking to kind of hang out with you guys and get the good energy, and I did, so I'm perfectly happy.
Great.
Nick, I have to go back, and this month, you know, I've been around you for half of my life probably, but you know, I sat there and I listened to the fact of it hit me differently, and I don't know why, but this month's add-on video, and I have to go back and listen to it again because I didn't grasp everything through it. Because when you started talking about the fact of, you know, trauma has a beginning, right? Events have a beginning, but trauma, right? And I tried to think about, okay, well, what trauma have I gone through, right? But then when you started talking about various events and giving different examples and something not having an end and realizing that you have to add something to it and visualize it in order to give it an end for it to be done, right? I think there's so much in there that I haven't unpacked because I'm like, I was going through and I didn't give it the time with my own spirit to say, okay, well, what, I guess the question is, when you sat and you said, you looked for, if I remember in the video, you actually looked for a trauma, but let's say there's something that is not, I didn't complete something, or I didn't finish something, or I did not put closure on something, and just say it's not trauma. What would I
give me an example? Like, what are you, I don't understand your question. Like,
so
what are you trying, what is your actual question?
So what do you ask your, well, I guess I answered my own question of what I don't know what I don't know that I did not have closure on that may be impacting my life outside of trauma. Okay. If we sit and talk about trauma, most people will be like, oh yeah, that was a traumatic experience to me. Oh my God, I remember crying, getting down. Like me going ahead with Abbott, that was traumatic. But I feel that
getting what? Wait, you getting what?
Okay, so my whole situation with Abbott and getting laid off, it was very traumatic to me because it tied back to my definition of success.
Okay.
So, but I feel as if I added the add-on came when Zscaler said, oh my God, you're not out of a job, you come here. So I feel that something got added to it, but I still had to go through the emotions of coming to grips with the fact that, oh my God, am I so much better off? Okay.
Okay.
But there are things I believe that I've experienced that I don't realize have not ended, or I did not put closure. I don't have closure on, but I'm not sure maybe what that is.
So does everybody understand what Pam is referencing? I did the spiritual topic for this month, and it's how do we heal? And we heal our traumatic experiences in life by adding on visualizations to finish the memory. Did everybody watch the video, or no? Nobody watched the video except Pam?
Quick question.
Are you talking, Britt?
Yes, I watched it. And to like sum it up really quick, well, I'll let you sum it up, Mom.
But did that make
No,
sense?
go ahead.
Yeah, but Pam, why do you need closure on things that weren't traumatic?
I don't know.
The goal of the add-on is to have healing. If a thing doesn't need to be healed, then the add-on won't work.
How do you know though that some kind of circumstance, right?
That
is
happened is not
Yeah.
still affecting you.
Yes.
Was it a traumatic experience?
Maybe it doesn't have to be.
Well, then why do you need healing? Add-ons are for healing. So why would you need healing? So if something that was not traumatic,
Mhm.
is affecting your life, potentially it's not negatively affecting your life, right?
Well, I don't know, because I'm trying to figure out, well, what else could have impacted me?
Are you looking for problems?
No. But it made me start to think, is there something that maybe, this is the other piece, maybe I don't view it as being traumatic.
It
Maybe
sounds
I
like you have something in mind.
I don't. I
So-
swear to God, Britt, I really don't. But maybe I didn't view it as traumatic. Maybe I just viewed
Okay,
it as
Then it
so
wasn't
are you,
traumatic.
did you watch the video and search for something traumatic and you couldn't find anything?
yeah. Except the
Okay.
whole habit thing, right?
Okay.
But I
So
couldn't
the
find
thing
anything
that
else.
came, okay, so the video, when you watched it, it prompted you to say, okay, what do I need to heal?
Yeah.
And so you kind of searched in your brain for an experience from your life that would have been traumatic. The only thing, and that's you searching for something in your childhood and saying, well, I have memories, but like, were they traumatic? Are they still affecting me? Did they fuck up something inside of me that I'm not aware of? And
Exactly.
I became the gremlin or like whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So I get that part. But when the video was happening and you watched it, what popped into your head without you searching your memory bank was getting laid off of Abbott,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. That is the traumatic experience that your spirit put into your head when you watched the video. You didn't go to a time when you were 7 or 12.
Right.
You went to a time most recently. That's what your spirit brought to your attention. Okay. And you said, well, the only thing I could think of was like getting laid off of Abbott. And that's because it was so tied to my self-definition.
Mm-hmm.
So what needs to be healed?
My self-definition,
Right.
not just getting another job.
Right. That doesn't heal your self-definition. It puts a feather in your cap. It convinces you that you're okay now and you're actually, your life is better, but you still got a fire in your belly about them motherfuckers laying you off. There's still something in there that you can't let go of. So that is
Yes.
meaning that your self-definition came into question way before you started working at Abbott.
Yes. Yes.
And it's still affecting your life today. So now that you know what the traumatic experiences that your spirit put in your head as an example of, okay, this is it, you know the answer to it. It stripped you of who you defined yourself to be and in front of everyone and in front of yourself in the mirror. You lived and died for that place, right? So when they took that from you, they took away everything that you sacrificed in order to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So it described you.
Mm.
Now you say, all right, why did my whole self-definition depend on this? Right? So
Mhm.
then you say to your spirit, the question that you ask is, when did it first happen in my life that my self-definition came into question? And then your spirit will show you the first time that you wondered about your own description of yourself and how you were viewed by the outside world. So
Mhm.
when did that happen, and what is that memory?
And then you once you have that memory, then you put the add-on to heal that memory.
Yes, and then every other memory connected to that initial beginning of where you weren't good enough.
Interesting. I would have never I would have taken the Abbott situation as a traumatic incident, not tied back though in time to ultimately an initiator of trauma relative to my self-definition.
Right.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
You should probably already have the answer in your brain, yes?
I think so, yes.
It also
So-
reminds me a lot
Mhm.
of state of being, where sometimes you'll think of a memory and you're like, no, I'm going to pick a different one. And then you pick a different one, but that still gets to the same nugget that the first one does.
Yep.
Because you continue to repeat cycles until you understand them.
So then the question comes down to, okay, so Nick, so I know we're almost at time, but then it comes down to the fact of, okay, so if somebody, so you have a traumatic experience, you really have to understand the traumatic experience of what it affected within yourself in order to then try to tie it back to something else potentially.
Mhm.
Because the first one was Abbott, the second one that came in the brain was ultimately the one that started this all. So I was not acknowledging, maybe if I went back, it probably did pop, but I did not acknowledge it because I thought it was
Right.
resolved. Thank you.
Mhm. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Y'all gonna go watch the video now, aren't y'all?
I already watched it.
Okay, that's fair.
Was it not easily understood, Britt? Did I not explain it good? Is it all jumbled?
No, I understood it. I think like at the beginning, you start to think that it's about like, no, I mean, I understood it. I got what you meant, that like you have to go back. You can have things and you go back to the original one and you heal that one, and then the ripple effect should happen. Like I understood it, but I don't know if other people are having trouble.
No,
Well,
I think
no, that's
I think
why
it was denial. I think it was denial on my part, being egotistical, thinking that, oh, that's not it. I because I am getting a hint of that. I did think of it, and I think I thought that's resolved. I put in that was fine. So I think I acknowledged, I ignored it, jumped to the next to bring me back to the first.
Oh, I think we all do that. Like I thought, so in the video, I give the example of my sister telling me that steak was meat, and it freaked me out and I couldn't eat it. And my dad got so mad at me. And my question to my spirit was, where did Crohn's begin? And then that's the memory that came. Well, I didn't think that was such a traumatic memory. Like I didn't even ever think
Right.
of that memory until my spirit showed it to me. I'm like, oh my God, that totally happened. I totally remember that, but didn't remember it until that day. But my question to my spirit is, where did Crohn's begin in my body? And so you can do that for like the job loss was traumatic. So the idea is, show me where in my life job loss would have been like, where did this happen? Where did this start? This feeling of not being good enough or not having a self-identification. It's the same thing, but your spirit would have showed it to you during you watching the video.
Yeah.
Right. Like it triggers it. You can't help it.
Yep.
Right. When you watch it, you can't help it. It's just, it's there. And then when you try to think, oh, what traumatic experience should I heal? You already saw it by the time you're done with the video. You already got it. Right. Because your spirit will take that opportunity and throw it in your head.
Right.
I
And
didn't see
that's
the
where I
video,
didn't.
but I had that conversation with you once, Nikki.
What happened? I missed what you said at the very beginning.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Pam. I didn't see the video, I'm sorry, but you and I had this conversation and did this exercise in one of my very first sessions with you. So I do remember it and I use it all the time. I think it's totally useful. I love it.
Good. I'm glad.
In fact, I
Good,
made the
thank
mistake
you.
of going around it to all my friends and telling them, here's what you do. And then I got all my friends upset because I got them to open up all these traumas that they weren't thinking about. So I need to shut my mouth after you do these exercises and let you do this stuff yourself.
That's the goal though, because that they were supposed to hear that from you and supposed to open up from your experience, because if they don't look at it, they're still going to look at it at some point in their life. Something is going to happen. They're going to end up in a therapy session or somebody's going to say something and that's going to come back to them in one way or the other. So either way in their journey of life, they have to address it. Either way in our journey of life, we have to address these things that molded us to be something that the world made us, that we're here to uncover everything the world made us think that we are. So whether that process of, coming out of humanity and more into your spirit is because you triggered it or because a divorce they have in 15 years triggers it. Either way, they have to experience that freedom within themselves. Some people just never do that. And then the end of their life, their body takes over and their body, translates all of that trauma. Sometimes when we're sad, we get sick. Why? Why is our body taking over for our sadness? We're sad about something. We don't fix it. We don't look at it. We push it aside. And then all of a sudden our body doesn't feel good. Our stomach hurts, our back hurts, something hurts. So each part of our Trinity is going to try to expel out of us anything that isn't light, anything that isn't God. It's going to come out. Right? So our goal is to try to go in and get it out so it doesn't have to force its way out, because the forcing of that conditioning out of us is very painful, either mentally, emotionally, or physically. So that's my soapbox. So any other questions today, everybody? This was good. I appreciate everybody's attendance and participation. Thanks, Jackie, for the kudos on the, it does work. I mean, it does work. Adding on does work because it takes away the trauma aspect of it. It reconditions. What we're trying to do in the add-on is nurture the little girl that experienced it. We, the adult, we've moved past our trauma. We, the adult, have fought past our trauma. We are survivors. We can make it. It's not we, the adult, that we're concerned about. It's not we, the adult, that needs the healing. Because as we see in our everyday life, we're fine. The one that needs the healing is the part of us that got frozen in that moment of trauma. That's who needs the healing. That is a separate part of your soul, a part that didn't get to accompany the rest of you. So all we do with an add-on is we invite that little girl to join us, to look at us the adult, the one who already lived through it, the one who knows the answer, the one who knows the end result. We just have to make her look at us, right? So that she knows that she's fine. And that's when that part of yourself kind of rejoins you. And it's no longer a trigger. It's no longer something that can harm you, hurt you, affect you mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, because you, the adult, have taken care of that. Right. And that, they call it the inner child. But if you have a child and your child was next to you experiencing the same trauma, what would you tell your child? Go tell that to yourself, literally, in a visualization. Make it true. And that stops manipulating you in your life. Right? If it's our self-definition in question, and that's the part of us that is affected, then do we have to prove ourselves to the outside world so that we get to feel good about ourselves? If it's our heart chakra, do we have to like sacrifice ourselves for everybody and always give and end up on empty ourselves? Right? So it's like we have to give back to that part of ourselves in order for success to even be possible. See how I tied it all back to success? I'm just kidding, you guys. I'm in a weird mood, so.
Nicely done.
All right. Thanks. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope everybody comes back next month.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Bye.